Anyway.
Okay. Shalom, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Children of Light Bible study. We give all praise, honor, and glory to Ahaya, Yeshaya, and Rawak, the Holy Spirit. We're going to go ahead and begin with prayer. Come on, bow your heads. Lord Yeshaya, we thank you for your mercy, for your kindness that you give us always. And just continue to order our steps. Amen.
Amen. The Lord's Prayer. Who wants to start us off? Isaiah, saw your hand first.
Abanawa, Shabbat, Shemayo, Kodah, Shaya, Shemkala, Ahaya, Balak, Waka, Yaba'a, Watizawaka, Haya, Aisha, Tano, Watiza, Huwa, Haya, Wasamaya, Eganinawa, Naham, Kayawan, Wasala, Nawa, Kawa, Nawa, Wasala, Nawa, Kawa, Nawa, Wa'a, Nabaya, Nawa, Man, Saiwa, Kaba, Hawashai, Nawa, Man, Raihaya,
Kapara. I Walamyam. It's always that one word.
Do you know what Aman means?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Amen.
No. What does it mean in ancient Hebrew? Sorry.
It's done, so be it.
So be it.
So be it.
What does that mean?
All right, our Lord's Prayer in English. All right. Would you like to lead us, Annalisa?
Nice and loud.
Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
All right. Good job, guys. All right. Next we have the Hebrew alphabet. Banach? Oh.
Just kidding. See, just pay attention.
All right. So, the credos in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. On the count of 3, I want to hear you guys nice and loud. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's try this again.
Whoa.
Credo. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Shemaya, Shirala, Ahaya. Alahaya, now Ahaya, Taka. Hero Israel. The Lord our God is one Lord. Shemaya, Shirala, Ahaya. Alahaya, now Ahaya, Taka. Hero Israel. The Lord our God is one Lord. Shemaya, Shirala, Ahaya. Alahaya, now Ahaya, Taka. Hero Israel. The Lord our God is one Lord.
All right. Now we have our Hebrew alphabet, led by Banach. Whitney, you would like to lead us? Isaiah.
Listen, hold it up.
Oh, Isaiah, go ahead and lead us this first round.
1 Akkad, 2 Shaniah, 3 Shalasha, 4 Abraham, 5 Kamasha, 6 Shasha, 7 Shabbat, 8 Shemona, 9 Ishar, 10 Ishar.
All right, Zion, go ahead and lead us now.
1 Akkad, 2 Shaniah, 3 Shalasha, 4 Abraham, 5 Kamasha, 6 Shasha, 7 Shabbat, 8 Shemona, 9 Ishar, 10 Ishar.
Okay, lead us this last round.
1 Akkad, 2 Shaniah, 3 Shalasha, 4 Abraham, 5 Kamasha, 6 Shasha, 7 Shabbat, 8 Shemona, 9 Ishar, 10 Ishar.
All right, let's make sure we do it all together, but good job, everyone. All right, next we have our numbers 11 through 20 in ancient Hebrew.
Yay!
Who remembers this?
I do.
Amaris, would you like to lead us?
Yes.
All right.
11 Akkad Ishar, 12 Shaniah Ishar, 13 Shalasha Ishar, 13 Uriah Ishar, 15 Kamasha Ishar, 16 Shasha Ishar, 17 Shasha Ishar, 18 Shemona Ishar, 19 Shasha Ishar, 20 Ishar.
All right, you guys are gonna repeat after Amana this time.
Okay. Good. Easily.
Okay. 11
11
Akkad Ishar.
Akkad Ishar,
12
12
Shanayim Ishar.
Shaniah Ishar,
13
13
Shalasha Ishar.
Shalasha Ishar,
14
14
Arabah Ishar.
Abraham Ishar,
15
15
Kamasha Ishar.
Kamasha Ishar,
16
16
Shasha Ishar.
Shasha Ishar,
17
17
Shabbat Ishar.
Shabbat Ishar,
18
18
Shemona Ishar.
Shemona Ishar,
19
19
Desha Ishar.
Shasha Ishar,
20
20
Asharaya.
Ashaya.
All right, we're gonna do it one more time, okay? I want everyone nice and loud, okay? All right. All right, let's go down. All right, 11 Akkad Ishar. Louder. 12 Shanayim Ishar. 13 Shalasha Ishar. 14 Arabah Ishar. Arabah Ishar. 15 Kamasha Ishar. 16 Shasha Ishar. 17 Shabbat Ishar. 18 Shemawana Ishar. 19 the Sha'aha Ishar. 20 Ashayarayim. The Sharayim.
All right.
Everybody's like
All right. Next we have our colors. All We're gonna have you guys repeat after us. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna speak, and then you're gonna speak after us. All right. Blue.
Blue.
Powwow.
Powwow.
Red. Ottawa.
Ottawa.
Orange.
Orange.
Katawao.
Sawa.
Yellow. Tuzahawa.
Sawa.
Green.
Green.
Urawa.
Urawa.
Blue.
Blue.
Kakawao.
Sawa.
Red.
Red.
Ottawa.
Ottawa.
Orange.
Orange.
Katawao.
Sawa.
Yellow.
Yellow.
Tuzahawa.
Sawa.
Green.
Green.
Urawa.
Urawa.
All right, who thinks they know 'em? You want to give it a try? All right, go ahead.
Blue. Kakawa.
Good.
Kawa. Red. Ottawa.
Good.
Orange. Kawa.
Katawao.
Kakawa. Yellow.
Yep.
Green. Kakawa.
Urawa.
Yawawa.
All right. Good job.
Good job, boy.
Good job, boy.
All right. Now we're going to do the first 10 Bibles of the books of the Bible of the Old Testament.
I know it down.
All right. You want to go? All right. Tell me the first 5. And then, but now you do the other 5. Tell me the first 5. Come on. Genesis. Exodus. Yes, right. All right. That's the first. All right. He said the first 5. Let's repeat them again. Everybody. Genesis. All right. That's the first 5. Let's do 6 through 10. Deuteronomy. All right.
Almost.
Yeah.
We almost there.
We're getting there. All right. Wait. We're going to do this in order. Micah,
Lean it a little.
please lead us. Good. All right.
Forward or back? It's a glare.
Yeah, you can't see. Oh, like that.
All right, stay. Just like this.
All right. 1, Genesis. 2, Job. 3, Exodus. 4, Leviticus. 5, Numbers. 6, Deuteronomy. 7, Joshua. 8, Judges. 9, 1 Samuel. 10, 2 Samuel. These are the first 10 books of the Bible of the
Old Testament.
Good.
Old Testament, but not the New Testament.
That is correct.
Not yet.
Well, is there reading into the New Testament?
All right. Everyone have their Bibles, Akan?
A car.
All right. Today we're going to learn about the book of 1 Samuel. Yes. Some people were really excited to do it last week, and now we get to do it this week. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yay!
You can work on Samuel?
Yes.
Okay. Remember that? Okay.
Fine for
So everyone, turn your Bible to 1 Samuel and raise your hand when you're there.
I see 2 people. Who else is there? 3, 4.
Go to the very beginning. Go to shop.
Araya, are you there? Raise your hand.
Samuel?
That wasn't Samuel.
Did I say Samuel? What can you say?
All right. So, First Samuel is also called the first book of Kings, and we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. Other than that, oh, there you go. All right, and Samuel was also written by, at the beginning, Samuel, and then towards the ending by two people named Nathan and Gad. They were prophets for Yeshaya. What was their name?
Nathan and Gad.
Thank you.
Gad.
All right. First Samuel covers between 1050 BC to 931 BC. Again, a really, really long time ago. And it covers from the birth of Samuel all the way to the death of King Saul, who we're going to learn about today. You guys excited to learn about that?
Yay!
All right. Now, according to 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 20, his name means I have asked him of the Lord. And we'll see why she said that shortly and who said that. But before we get into 1 Samuel, we got to do a recap. That means we have to remember what we learned about last week and talk about it. Who remembers what a judge is? Why are you looking? Anybody remembers what a judge is?
Yeah.
Say it again?
Leading people.
Yeah, a military leader.
Yes, military.
And what did that judge do? That military leader, what was their job to do?
Protect the Israelites.
No, that would be our enemies. But what a judge did, they were rose up by Yeshaya, and they would deliver the Israelites from bondage and get them back on the right track to serving Yeshaya. So that's what a judge was. That's what a judge is. Now, we talked about some judges last week, but we're going to talk about our very last judge, and his name was Samuel. And we're going to learn how he came to be a judge. So we're going to see how his life was. Are you guys ready to see how his life was?
Yeah.
All right, let's all focus this way and pay attention. So we're going to first start off with Samuel again. He's from the tribe of Levi. Who knows how to say that in ancient Hebrew? Thank you. Good, good. All right, and with 1 Samuel, Samuel started off with Yeshaya, his relationship with Yeshaya at a very young age. But before we get to his relationship, we have to learn about his mother. His mother's name was Hannah. What was her name?
Hannah.
She didn't have any sons or daughters. And she was sad about that. So she prayed and prayed to Yeshaya that she can have children. Okay? And then one day in her prayer, she made a vow to Yeshaya. And remember, a vow is a promise. And she promised that if Yeshaya gave her a son, she would give him to Yeshaya as a servant. So we're going to look at 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 11 through 12. So everyone should already be in 1 Samuel. We're going to look for verse 11 and 12.
Number 1.
Let her figure it out. That's what
Here.
chapter 1, verse 11.
1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 11. And she vowed a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thy handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but will give unto thine handmaid a man child, then will I give him unto the Lord, and all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. And it shall come to pass, as she continued continued praying before the Lord that Eli marked her mouth.
All right. So that was the vow she made. And Eli was a man that heard her vow. And we're going to find out about him in just a little bit. Yes?
Who's Eli?
We're going to learn about him in just a little bit. He was a servant for Yeshua up until a certain point. He did a lot for Yeshua, but we'll see what happens to him. And yeah. So that was her promise that she made to Yeshua. And then if you turn over to chapter 2, verse 18, we're going to see she made good on her promise. Yeshua gave her Samuel. So everyone look at Samuel, chapter 2.
Samuel.
Verse 18. I look at 1 and 8. 18.
Chapter 2, verse what?
Put your finger.
Chapter 2, verse what?
Oh, Salakia, sorry, we're not in chapter 2, I'm sorry. Verse 24 to verse 28, sorry. So stay in chapter 1, look at verse 24.
24.
Go back to chapter
24.
Oh.
Verse 24. Chapter 2, verse 24.
Look for 24.
1.
24.
Chapter 1, verse 24.
Yeah, we'll just start.
So chapter 1.
1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 24. And when she had weaned him, she took him up with her with 3 bullocks and 1 ephah of flour and a bottle of wine, and brought him unto the house of the Lord in Shiloh. And the child was young.
So when it says she weaned him, basically he wasn't a baby anymore. He was walking, he was talking, he wasn't drinking milk anymore. So now he was ready to do the work for Yeshua. So she grabbed him and she brought him up so that way he can do the service to Yeshua. Now, I know you guys heard your Dawada Mana say a bottle of wine. This wasn't wine like you see in the world where they kind of drink alcohol and do ungodly things. This was used for other purposes. Okay? All right? All right, so we'll go ahead and continue on at verse 26.
Verse 26. And she said, O my Lord, as thy soul liveth, my Lord, I am the woman that stood by thee here, praying unto the Lord for this child. I prayed, and the Lord hath given me mine petition, which I asked of him. Therefore also I have lent him to the Lord, as long as he liveth, and he shall be lent to the Lord, and he worshipped the Lord there.
How do you guys think Yeshua felt? She made a promise and she kept her promise. How do you think Yeshua felt about that? Yeah, she was happy. How do you think Yeshua would have felt if he blessed her with Samuel and she said, no, he's all mine? You think he would have been upset with her because she didn't keep her promise to him?
How do you feel when someone breaks their promise to you?
I feel angry. I feel sad.
It makes you angry. It makes you sad.
And it's
You what?
That's not right.
Yeah,
not right.
That's not right.
So fortunately,
I'm upset.
you're upset? Okay.
Mhm.
So fortunately, so that's a good thing that she kept her promise because guess what? She kept it, and guess what? Yeshua gave her more sons and daughters. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
She prayed for it, and Yeshua delivered. That's how amazing Yeshua is. All right? So now that we know how Samuel got here, now we can see about his childhood. So he was with Eli. Eli at the time, he was serving Yeshua. And Samuel was with Eli, learning from Eli. And one day, he was getting ready to go to sleep. And he heard somebody call his name. He thought it was Eli. Yeah, he thought it was Eli. So he got up and he said, here I am. And Eli was like, I didn't call you. So then he went to go lay back down. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to look at chapter 2.
Chapter 2. Verse 8.
There we go, chapter 3. I didn't write my 3. All right, and we're going to see the second time.
Big three?
Baby to me. Yeah, a big one.
Verse 6.
Baby to me. Big boy.
If you guys need help, make sure you ask. Everyone got it? Good? You got it? Okay. No, it's chapter 3. Okay.
Which one? Verse 6. Small number. Verse 6 right there.
Mm-hmm. All right. So now we're going to hear Yeshua call Samuel the second time. Let's see what happens. Oh, verse 6.
1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 6. And the Lord called yet again Samuel. And Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And he answered, I called not, my son. Lie down again.
So somebody's calling Samuel. I wonder who it can be. Let's read verse 7 and 8. You sure? All right, let's see. Let's read verse 7 and 8.
Verse 7. Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord, neither was the word of the Lord yet revealed unto him. And the Lord called Samuel again the third time. And he arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And Eli perceived that the Lord had called the child.
So, Annalisa, you're right. Yeshua is calling for Samuel. So now he tells him to lay down this time. And let's see what happens in verse 9 and 10.
Verse 9. Therefore Eli said unto Samuel, Go lie down, and it shall be, if he call thee, that thou shalt say, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. So Samuel went and lay down in his place.
All right, and then let's go ahead and read verse 10.
Verse 10. And the Lord came and stood and called as at other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel answered, Speak, for thy servant heareth.
All right, so he laid back down that third time. And what did he say when Yeshua called him again? He said, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. So, Yeshua was speaking with Samuel at this point, and he gave him a message. He gave Samuel a message. We're going to find out what the message is. He had a message for Eli.
He made a message.
So with Eli, his sons were sinning against Yeshua. They were doing something. They were breaking the commandments. They were breaking the commandments. And Eli was told about it, so he didn't do nothing about it. Do you think it's a good thing? Let's say you see a child in the store and they steal some candy and the parent sees it, but the parent doesn't say anything. Is the parent wrong for not disciplining that child?
Yeah.
So now you guys see that same child in the store, and instead of stealing candy, he's stealing food, he's stealing toys, he's stealing clothes, he's just stealing everything.
He's stealing.
Listen, okay? Just listen. He's stealing.
Oh, everything.
And that parent doesn't say anything again. So then that child, just listen. And then that child grows up, he keeps on stealing. Now he's stealing people's purses, their wallets, and he ends up in jail.
Yeah, well,
You're gonna miss it. and now he's in jail, and let's say something happens to him in jail. He steals from the wrong person and he dies. Where do you think he's going to go?
To hell.
Hell, and eventually the lake of fire. Mm-hmm. So do you think if that parent would have said something, that maybe he would have stopped that stealing that very first time?
Yes.
Well, in Eli's situation, he didn't say anything when his sons were sinning. So we're going to see what happened. Just like you wanted to know, Haziah, what Yeshaya said to Samuel, so did Eli. Let's go ahead and read verse 16 in chapter 3. So we're still in chapter 3. We're going to read verse 16.
Verse 16. Then Eli called Samuel and said, Samuel, my son. And he answered, Here am I. And he said, What is the thing that the Lord hath said unto thee? I pray thee, hide it not from me. God do so to thee, and more also, if thou hide anything from me of all the things that he said unto thee.
So Samuel delivered the warning to Eli about what was going on in his household. He needed to stop it. Thank you. So Eli didn't listen to the warning. So there was a war that was going on. It was a battle with the Philistines. They're a different nation than Israel. And in that battle, his sons died. And when he found out that his sons died, he was so overtaken by it. He fell back on a stool and died himself. So he was sitting like in a little chair like this, and he fell back and he died. So he fell back in the chair from his neck broke. Yeah, his neck broke.
Oh my goodness, his neck broke. Wow. You gotta imagine breaking your neck.
Anyone imagine breaking their neck?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
You break your neck, it can fall off and roll down your leg.
How do y'all feel when y'all sit in the chair and y'all fall back? Don't you start crying? You're holding your head, you're holding your butt, your back, right? Now imagine your neck. You dead, first of all. But before you have that pain. But all jokes aside, we see how important it is. When something is wrong, we correct it. So when your parents are correcting you, it's because they don't want you to have an unfortunate incident and Yeshaya take you out and kill you. It might not be you falling out the chair. Maybe you fall down the street. Maybe you tumble down some stairs. When Yeshaya get us, it's really bad. That's extreme. That's really extreme. So we're gonna go ahead and pull it back a little bit. So Samuel was established as a prophet of Israel. So Yeshaya would speak to him, and he would hear, and then he would deliver the message to Israel. Isn't that cool?
yeah.
Why y'all quiet? Y'all don't want Yeshaya to talk to y'all in y'all ear and talk? Come on. Yeah. I don't believe y'all. Y'all don't sound very enthusiastic about that.
Yes.
Who wants Yeshaya to talk to them?
Yeah.
Not in a bad way.
All right. So now we're gonna move on a little bit in time. Guess what? Who's our king? Yeshua is our king. But guess what? Israel, they wanted another king. They wanted a king that they can see, like the other nations.
What?
So they were saying, Yeshua, we want a king. So they were telling the king that they wanted a king. Does that make sense?
No.
But that's what they wanted, and Yeshua gave it to them. So Samuel, he went to go find the king that Yeshua chose for them. And his name was Saul. What was his name?
Saul.
And he was from the tribe of Benjamin.
How you said in Hebrew?
Benjamin.
Yes, say it louder. Benjamin. Yes. Mhm. So Samuel, he started off right. He did what he needed to, and he kept the commandments, and he was a good king for Israel. Up until chapter 15. Everyone go to chapter 15. Some things happen in chapter 15. And we're going to see how Yeshaya felt about what he did. Turn chapter 15. All right. You got it tonight? All right. So, in chapter 15, Samuel told Saul that he was supposed to kill all the Amalekites. The Amalekites were a group of people that lived in this time. They're still around today, but we're going to look at it right now, back then. So they were supposed to kill all of the Amalekites. Do you think he did it?
Yes.
Why was he supposed to kill everyone? Teacher.
So he was supposed to kill all the Amalekites because they were doing wicked and evil.
It was.
Yeah, they were sinning. Abominable things.
They worshipped other gods.
Sacrificing. Come on, Deacon.
It's because of what they did to Israel in the wilderness. When they were trying to go through their land, the Amalekites wouldn't allow it, but they tried to fight the Israelites. So now Yeshaya was punishing them for doing that.
I don't think that happened yet.
In the wilderness, that had happened.
Saul was told to kill the Amalekites because they were doing what to children with Moloch?
Sacrificing to Lord.
Children.
So it's all of that.
Let's read verse, yeah, it's all of that, yeah. So in chapter 15, verse 2, we're going to read what Yeshaya told Samuel to tell Saul.
1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 2. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that the Amalekite, I remember that which Amalek, there we go, did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Egypt.
Now read verse 3.
Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have and spare them not, but slay both men and women, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass.
So they were supposed to kill everyone, even the
People,
animals.
all animals.
Do you guys think he did that?
Yeah, there are no birds.
I hear yeah, and then I heard something else.
What do you all think? What do you think they did?
Did they kill all the people and all the animals? Yes or no?
Yes. No. Yes.
Okay, some mixed answers. All right, let's read verse 8. Let's see what happened. Verse 8.
Verse 8. And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword.
Did you guys hear what she said?
Yes.
What did he do?
All the people.
Before that.
What else did he do?
All right, I gotta listen. She's gonna read it one more time.
Verse 8. And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. So what did he do? What else did he do? He took Agag, the king, alive. So did he do what Yeshaya told him to do?
Yeah.
How?
No.
No, don't just say no. If you say yes, tell me why do you think it's yes?
Yeah.
Why do you think yes? So if your mom tells you to clean the kitchen and you clean the kitchen but you don't do the dishes, did you clean the kitchen?
No.
No, because what did you forget to do?
Clean the dishes.
So if Saul killed everyone but took the king, did he do what he was supposed to do?
No.
No.
So, he disobeyed Yeshaya. How do you think Yeshaya felt about that?
Bad.
You said violent? Okay.
Well, that's a good.
She
You
failed.
have
You have a question?
What's a sword?
A sword? Think of a stick with a really pointy end that people use.
Think of a giant knife.
Like a lion?
It's really sharp and it's used to cut
Sharp
or kill. All right, let's focus.
So let's go ahead and read in 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 10. Let's see what Yeshaya has to say about that. We're going to read verse 10 and 11. Chapter 15, verse 10. You got it?
1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 10. Then came the word of the Lord unto Samuel, saying, It repenteth me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he is turned back from following me, and hath not performed my commandments. And it grieved Samuel, and he cried unto the Lord all night.
So Yeshaya regretted making him a king. So that goes to show you, he rejected Saul from being the king of Israel. Does that sound okay?
Did Saul listen?
No.
In verse 11, was Yeshaya happy with Saul, or was he upset with Saul? So did Saul listen?
No. Like Goliath did?
And you know what happened after that? Because he didn't listen,
Yeah, he died.
Samuel had to go and kill the king. He had to finish the job because Saul didn't do what he was supposed to in the first place. So, Saul did not follow instructions, nor did Eli. So we see a couple people not following instructions. And we see what happens.
What happened to these people when they didn't follow instructions? What happened to Eli?
He died.
He died. What happened to Saul? He what?
He needed to kill the
Now he had to go do it again,
He needed to kill the king.
but he didn't. So he has to deal with Yeshaya's anger. And then we're going to see later on what happens to Saul.
Yes, we will. So,
Yeah.
now Samuel had to find a new king that Yeshaya would appoint to be king over Israel. And his name was David. He was going to be the king of Israel when the time was right. Now, David was from the tribe of Judah.
That's right, Judah.
How do you say Judah?
Yahweh.
Thank you.
Yahweh died.
Yes, Yahweh.
Do you guys know anything about David?
No. Yes.
What do you know about David? Do you know what David used to do before he became king?
David just killed Goliath with a stone.
Well, what was David's job before he became king?
To fight.
No, not to fight.
I like it.
Okay, well, we'll read it and then let me know if you hear when we talk about it, all right? So we're going to go to chapter 17 and we're going to give you guys a sneak peek of next week when we learn more about David. So everyone turn to chapter 17. So, with Goliath, we know he was a really big man. So, yeah, I did some research. So,
100.
in verse 4, let's read verse 4 real quick. You got to stay focused, y'all.
1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 4. there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span.
So a cubit is roughly 18 inches. So if he's 6 cubits, he's 108 inches, which equals 9 feet. Yeah, so they could get the Wasawa, but a little bit taller. Much more.
But he's tall.
He told me, so look.
6'12".
She said 6'12". Oh Lord.
All right, and then it said he was a span. A span is a half a cubit. Does anybody know what half of 18 is?
I know.
No.
Half of 18 is 9 inches. So he was 9 feet and 9 inches.
Who's 3 feet in here? Who's 3 feet tall?
No, I am not.
It's
Please,
like
I am
big
five.
Aliyah and Araya. Aliyah and Araya ain't the same height.
Yeah.
Yeah. Araya.
I'm not three, I'm 5.
Sawa, can we borrow your height for a second?
Oh, so I'm not good.
Daddy's
I knew it was coming.
So think of if Araya is standing on top of Sawa's head. That's how tall Goliath is.
That's taller than
That's taller than the ceiling, yes.
Don't cry your head, Mariah.
Girl.
That's funny.
So before we get into David a little bit more, we're going to backtrack a little bit. We're going to get some more information on the Amalekites. You guys want to hear that?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go to 1 Samuel chapter 15. And this time we're going to read verses 1 through 3. So everyone go back a page to verse chapter 15. Turn back one page.
Yeah. 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 1. Samuel also said unto Saul, the Lord sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Now therefore, hearken thou unto the voice of the Lord. Hearken thou unto the voice of the words of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that when Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way, when he came up from Egypt. Now go and smite Amalek, and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass.
So what did Amalek do to Israel? They laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Egypt. So they didn't let.
break it down to children's terms.
So let's say this rug is a pathway, and let's say me and Dawada, we represent Israel. We were trying to come this way on this path, but the Amaleks
Stop them.
they stopped them. They stopped us from going through. So they blocked us from going all the way this way. And then we have to go a different route in the wilderness. They refused to let us pass. Yes.
And I think Deacon Azarius got something he was gonna read.
Yes. In Exodus chapter 17 is where the Most High promised and said that he was going to do what he was going to do to Amalek, which is what Saul was commanded to do. And this was actually written down, which is why it adds to Saul's disobedience, because this is something that was written down and everyone knew what was going to happen to the Amalekites. So we're going to go to Exodus chapter 17, and we're going to start reading at verse 8. And we're going to read what actually happened and what the event happened that caused the Amalekites that they were so evil that all of them had to die. Raise your hands when you're there.
Repeat it again.
Exodus chapter 17, verse 8.
Yeah. And verse 8. Sorry, what page you got?
Yep, verse 8.
Verse 8. You see verse 8? No.
Okay, it's okay. Go ahead and read.
So at this point right now, what's going on is Israel is escaping from Egypt, and they're on their way from leaving there, and they're in a place called Rephidim. And at verse 8 it says, "Then came Amalek and fought with Israel and Rephidim. And Moses said unto Joshua, Choose us out men and go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the rod of God in mine hand." So Joshua did as Moses said to him and fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. So they were trying to escape. And what happened is Amalek stopped them in the way because they thought, Egypt, their Israelites are running right now. Let's take what they have. Let's fight them while they're weak. Let's stop them from being able to escape because they knew what would happen. Because at this point, everybody knew who the Israelites were, that they were God's chosen people. And it came to pass when Moses held up his hand that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him. And he sat thereon, and Aaron and Hur stayed up his hand, the one on the one side and the other on the other side. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. So what happened is Moses had to hold both his hands up. And while he held his hands up, all the Israelites were able to win the fight. But if his hands fell down, the Israelites started losing the fight.
So y'all hold your arms up.
Everybody hold the arms up as long as you can. And that's what Moses had to do for Israel to win. So as long as you can hold your hands up, the Israelites will always win.
Hold them up. All the way up in the air. Don't lean on nothing.
Mm-hmm. And what happened is if they did get tired, just like when we get tired, he had Aaron and Hur, they both held each one. He held one of his arms up. Hold one of his arms up. He had people to hold his arms up like this, just like we should hold each other up instead of tearing each other down and calling each other names and fighting against each other. So even Moses needed the help, but as long as he kept his hands up, he was able to fight and they were able to win.
Okay.
Verse 13, and Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. Now let's listen. Verse 14 says, and the Lord said unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua. For I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses built an altar and called the name of it. For he said, because the Lord hath sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation.
There you go.
And so Saul was, it says that it was written as a memorial in a book. And what happened is our people read stories just like we read the Bible today. And so Saul knew what the story said about the Amalekites. And so for him to leave any of them alive was disobedient. But that is why he was told to kill all of the Amalekites.
And see, I had thought it was all, it could have been from Christianity. I thought he was told to kill them because they were sacrificing children. Which I'm sure they probably was doing, but that was not the reason why Yeshua had made that decree back in Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
So who knew that story with Moses fighting the Amalekites had anything to do with this story here, for example? Did y'all put two and two together?
Well, speaking, I know I explained that to them when we first hit on that point, but we didn't have the script. We didn't go into the script.
Right.
So, but you gotta let the Bible read what's we don't go by what we say. We go by what says the Lord. That's why we have to go and get the scripture. That's good. So now you know. You see, and I always say that's how Mother showed me how to read the Bible. It's like it's a story. That everything is connected, with each other. And so many times we read that in Exodus, but who all really thought like in their front of their mind that they put the two or two together like that. Now we know why. Because it said in First Samuel chapter 15 and 1 to 3, it said, well, but we didn't know that it originated from back in Exodus, yes.
So this is a good teaching moment because we all learn something new. We're supposed to learn something new every day. So now we have more knowledge.
Yes.
So now when
That's knowledge.
so now when we talk about this again in the future, we have something we remember now. So Tawada to everyone for this. All right, so now we're gonna go back to chapter 17 with David and Goliath. And we've already talked about how tall he was. So about roughly 9 feet and 9 inches was his height. So he was a really big man. And he wanted to fight Israel. So what we're going to do, we're going to read in 1 Samuel chapter 17. We're going to read verses 8 to 9. 1 Samuel.
Right.
All right. And let's see what he says. Keep going. 17. 1 7. Keep going. You got it? Good.
Listen to your teacher.
Yeah.
Point to it.
And look at verse 8. Keep going. And there is 8. All right. Find your verse 8. All right, everybody there?
Yes.
All right. Verse 17, 8 and 9.
First Samuel chapter 17, verse 8. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel and said unto them, Why are ye come out to set your battle in array? Am not I a Philistine, and ye servants to Saul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me and to kill me, then will we be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall ye be our servants and serve us.
So he came down to challenge Israel to a fight. And sadly, we see that all the people were really afraid of him. But guess what? There was somebody who wasn't afraid. And his name was David. And we're going to see how David approached the situation. So we're going to read verse 32. Everyone else all around him was afraid to fight Goliath. But let's see what he says. Yeah.
1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 32. And David said to Saul, Let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, Thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth.
So he was the only one that was ready to fight Goliath. And he said, You can't go. You're a child.
You can't go now.
That's what he told David. But let's see what David says. And let's read verse 34.
Verse 34. And David said unto Saul, Thy servant keep his father's sheep. And there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock.
So Annalisa, what did he do? What was David's job before he became king? Before he fought the lion, who was he protecting when he was fighting the lion? The what? The flock of sheep. You got it. Yeah, say the flock of sheep. So he was a what? A shepherd. So what was David before he became king?
A shepherd.
A shepherd. Yes. So he said he fought a lion and he fought a bear. That sounds like somebody that's pretty strong, right? Y'all gotta focus. Come on, we almost there. Let's read verse 36. No, that's the highest name in Exodus. Verse 36.
Verse 36. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the living God.
So look at that. David was ready to fight. He said Goliath's going to be like this lion and bear because he came against Israel. He came against Yeshua. He defied Yeshua. So he was ready for this battle. All right? So now we are going to read verse 39. Let's see. Well, actually, no. So I'll tell you guys what happened. So Saul tried to give David a sword and a shield. I'm like, hey, you're going to need this. And David said no. So he put it away. He said, I don't need a sword. I don't need a shield. So all he had, like you said, Uzziah, he had some stones and he had a slingshot. And he had it in his bag. And that's what he was going to use to defeat Goliath. Now we're going to go ahead and read verse 45. So he's approaching Goliath. And now he has something to say to Goliath. Oh, no.
First Samuel chapter
45.
chapter 17.
I'm sorry, verse 45. I'm so excited.
Verse 45. Then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied.
So he was bold, he was ready. So let's see what happens. Oh, no. Okay.
I want to read the lion part.
So we got to go back up to verse. Okay, so we'll do this. So you read verse 43, Deacon Manoah, and then Octavius, if you don't mind, can you read verse 45?
Yeah. Yeah. Y'all doing so well. Y'all know y'all did.
Yeah.
You know you do. You know you do.
All right, now come on, let's get it done.
Okay, let's listen, everybody.
First Samuel chapter 17.
Everybody have verse 43?
Y'all better be ready.
You
verse 45.
Well, yes, we're,
She's being the narrator.
You're 45.
You're David's lines, and I'm Goliath.
You verse 45.
So we're going to start at verse 43. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 43. And the Philistine said unto David,
Am I a dog, that thou comest to me with staves?
and the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David,
Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field.
Then said David to the Philistine,
Thou comest to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts and the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defiled. This day will the Lord deliver thee into my hand, and I will smite thee and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcass of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. And all the assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord, and he will give you into our hands.
And it came to pass, when the Philistine arose and came to draw nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag and took thence a stone and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon the face of the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David.
All right, so we read the battle between David and Goliath.
That was good.
And even though David only had a stone, he had faith. He knew the power of Yeshua, and through the power of Yeshua, he slew Goliath with that stone. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So is Yeshua powerful?
Yeah!
Oh, okay.
That's
So that was just a sneak peek of David. So next week we're going to learn much more about David. Are you guys excited to learn more about King David?
Yeah!
All right, all right, so we thank everyone.
Sit down. Sit down.
We thank everyone for joining us for the Children of Light Bible study. And be sure to join us for our main Shabbat lesson at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Listen.
Y'all gotta listen, y'all. All right. So, all right. Kwam Yasharala.
Kwam Yasharala.